Welcome to my YouTube tutorial on mastering Python-Docx. If you want to be able to edit Word documents using Python and fully understand the library, you're at the right place. I will go through all its structure, its classes, and different functions. So for people who don't know yet, I am referring to the Python-Docx library on GitHub. You can also pip install it. So this is the go-to library to edit Word documents using Python. And first of all, we'll look at the Python-Docx interface. First, we will take a look at the Python-Docx interface. That is the main functions that most of the users that we will be using. And we'll also look at its underlying structure. So to understand how everything is saved, and if we want to edit every single detail in a Word document, this is where we will be looking for. And after that, we'll break down the key classes and also look at some of their functions. And towards the end, I'll also show you what happens when we call docs.documents. So when we first start it and where we start off with. So that hopefully, if you have a project, you will know where we are starting and what you will be able to do. And of course, if you would like to explore more specific details, just leave a comment down below and I might make another video of it. I spent weeks going through the Python-Docx library to understand its structure, its functions, its classes, and to hopefully give you guys a better understanding so you guys better have success on your projects. And also special thanks to Steve Caney, who is the maintainer of the Python-Docx library. He also answered questions that I had during my time researching this library. So let's dive into it. So if we have Microsoft Word, what the user sees is this graphical user interface. So we would have, for example, we can manipulate text, we can type text, we can add images, we can change the styles. And Python-Docx works similarly. It has a user interface or functions, classes that are more in the interface level. So here I colored them, for example, the fonts, paragraph formats, the styles, the sections, headers, texts, images, tables. They're all a part of the interface. Later on, you will see this is the light blue, the first column. So this is what the user sees when editing a Word document. And if we look at how the computer actually saves it or how Microsoft saves it, it will look like this. It is similar to a zip file. We can actually unzip it and then we will get different parts. So we see the images are saved under media. We have the text split into multiple sections. So we have the main body text, which is in the document part. We would have the headers and a header part. We have a footer and a footer XML file. We would have relationships, documents, or XMLs that connect the images to the XML files. If we take a look, each part, let's take an example for the document part, which is the main body, consists of XML elements. So here we would see the text. This is paragraph 1, which is what I have written here. So this text is actually saved in here as multiple XML elements. And the relationships that connects the images to the documents, different parts with each others, is also saved in an XML relationship file. So Python-Docx works similarly. So all of the, so we have actually different parts. So we have story parts, which is, for example, the header part, the settings part, the footer parts. We have also the main body as it. So this is all parts that contain XML elements. And of course, in this file, we would have OXML, OpenXML elements. In this library, there are custom elements for each one of these elements so that they have more functions. and these are all a part of this. We also have image parts. So these are where the images are saved, and also the relationships are managed by the relationship class. So this is how a Word document is represented in Python-Docx. And in the end, to save it, it also has the OPC, so the Open Packaging Conventions class, which manages how these files are in the end saved and opened. So let's take a quick overview on the interface, or on a whole overview. So we would have functions and classes in the interface level. So this is everything that is for the end user. So here we can simply add text, we can add paragraphs. So this is what we would normally use. And then, so I would start with the OPC, the Open Packaging Convention part class. This manages how the Word document is unzipped, how the parts are created. So here we have part factory. It creates all the parts. It manages the relationships between different parts. And yes, so this is what I would say the lowest level of it. And this part it will then create the parts and also the OXML elements. So this is where the content or itself is saved. So for the parts, what we have, we would have parts which contain, for example, it could be an image. So the image is also saved separately. I will provide this Canvas document, the link, I will put it down below. So if you guys want to see what each class, what kind of function it has, you can take a look at this document. And yeah, so we have different parts. We also have an XML part. So this would be everything that contains text, would be that. So the parts, we would have story parts, which can have contains textual contents. So it has images, it has text. We have header parts, footer parts, we have style parts, setting parts, numbering parts, and the document part. This is actually the main document part, I would say. And also image parts. So this is where text. This is where the document interface in the end gets returned. We'll take a look at that in the end. And then every run, I think if you guys looked into Python-Docx, you would be familiar with paragraphs, with runs. So all these elements, so all the XML elements in here have their corresponding OXML elements. So here we would see this would be the CT document. This is for the main document. It would have the body text. This is where all our text goes in. This one also supports of seeing all the paragraphs, the tables are inside. So these custom elements were created so that we have more functions, because the LXML tree elements, they only support basic functions, and here we can easier to just add a paragraph, we can create contents, so our pictures, and we can navigate through all of these elements easier. So if you want to find, for example, the size of an image, you can just use dot formats to go through it. So this is why the custom elements were created. I have not yet put in everything. I'll put it down or write everything down in the future. It takes quite a bit of time, even though I spent weeks going through this. Parts of it was also trying to understand it. But yeah, so this is the low-level part of how Python-Docx saves everything. And if you want to get into the small details, edit things that you normally wouldn't be able to edit, you would go find the right part and then access its OXML elements, and then you can directly change here to affect the document. So everything changed here will have an effect in the end. And on top of this is the interface layer. So this is saved. So when we call this, these are helper functions that exist on top of these elements. So we will first, actually, let's take a look at what happens when we open a document. So we have a Word document, and here this is a small script that I wrote. So we would import Python-Docx like this, and then we would open the document by having docs.document. So we call this function, we'll see that it will call up the OPC package, which will create the part factory, the unmarshaller. These will create all the parts, the relationships, and yeah, so also to create document part. And then here we'll get returned the document interface that we will have. So here we see, here I also noted down where each one comes from and its sub or functions that can all be called. So if someone wants to take a deeper look into it. But here is just, when we call that function, we get document, which is this one. And here we will see all the main functions that we will be using. Paragraphs will give us all the text. We can get the sections. We can get all the tables and edit them. And the parts to access other parts. We can add paragraphs, add pictures, add tables. These are all the main functions that in the future these are all things that you will find in the normal YouTube tutorials that others do. This is how you use it. And if someone is interested, leave a comment and I can go into a specific topic. So next up, I might go into like what exactly happens when adding an image and how to do that. But yeah, without further ado, let's see, we have, this library is also split into everything that is block item containers. So these have all the functionality to add a block item, like a paragraph or table. So this would be, for example, the headers, the footers, a cell in a table, the main body text itself or the body parts, the base, header, footer. These are all able to add text or add tables in them. So this is how it comes from. So the different classes that makes it up. We have the table itself using these. Parented is mostly to be able to access its parents. So for example, a column belongs to a table. So to be able to go from rows or columns into the table, it needs to be parented. But yeah, here you can all see the functions that you can access from a table. We have the sections. These I won't go into them. We have also for the user or the interface layer, we have text, everything that manipulates text that we will be using. Mostly it will be paragraph. From paragraph, we can go into the runs, and then the runs, we can edit the text. We can add text, we can add images. This would all be in here. We have fonts, paragraph formats, tab stops, page breaks are all supported. And we also have class represented for the styles. So this would be everything that is in this section is managed by the styles. So these classes, I took them out by going through here. So this is, if you download the source code of Python-Docx, this is how it looks. So these are the main interface layers. These are all saved in here. And then we have the OXML elements. These are all managed here. So these are all the custom elements. The green part, the OPC is the pink part that manages parts and their relationships. And yeah. So let's look at a small script that I wrote to see what happens when we call the functions. So we would first import docs, and I already ran the code. So you'd see that it will import the docs, it will init the OXML, and it will set part, class selector, part factory. So this all happens when we import it. And then here I have print opening Word document, which is here. And here we will see that it will go through the package factory, and this one will load all or create all the parts. And if it has an XML, it will also load or parse the XML parts, which we can see through the prints here. And after loading that, so here we also see all the images get loaded. So we see all the relationships get created. So after loading, we can then do things. So this would be going through the interface level. So if we want to access a run, we can go from the document to access the paragraphs. We take the first paragraph, which is 0. We take the first run, and then we can add pictures. So this document gives us access to everything what is in the light blue. So this would be all the normal functions through that. Most of the use cases is enough through that. And all the YouTube tutorials you can probably find online will talk about the functions in here. And if you have any specific thing that you want to know more of, or that you're having trouble with, you can leave a comment down below, and maybe I can answer them or even create a new YouTube tutorial on that specific topic. I'm quite busy though, as this tutorial already started going through this 4 months ago, and I've been busy with work recently, so it got pushed back. But yeah, I'll try my best to help you guys out. And then for the people who want to access more advanced parts, so the actual ML elements in the Word document. So here I have a Word document extracted. So here we see the document. So if we want to access all the different elements in here and to be able to edit the contents in here, for example, this would be the size of an image. If you want to directly set it by your own, you can access it through the underline elements. So this will give you access to the OXML classes. So here I printed them out. So printing it out, we would get returned this custom elements, the paragraphs, and yeah, the sectors, yes. And if we look at here, I went into a table. If we look at what's inside the table, we can access all the table elements, and yeah. And we see that for most of the XML elements, we have a custom element, so it's CT, but some of them are still just an LXML element. So these would be here. We see that these were not processed by Python-Docx, but you can still access them and change them, but you just need the LXML commands. This is it for this tutorial. I made all of this 2 months ago actually, so I already forgot a few things that I wanted to mention, but hopefully I said enough for you to understand the structure of the Python-Docx library, and that you guys are able to have success with your projects. And thank you everyone for listening, and please like and comment, which will make me more motivated to make more videos in the future.